Hey, this is David Hilster. I'm a critical thinker, dissident scientist, and if you are not science woke, then this is the place for you. There are literally thousands and thousands of scientists who've worked around the world, who have worked outside the mainstream for decades, who have found problems, fixed those problems, and who are proposing new theories and models. So you will not find anything like this on the internet. So go down below, click on that subscribe button, the little bell next to it, and you'll be alerted to when our next video drops. Well, I cannot resist a title like this. Time actually existed before the Big Bang, according to new theory. So this means one of two things. Either there's the Big Bang theory for this amount of time, like for 13 point whatever, 9 billion years, or was it 7, 8? I don't know. I'll have a whole nother argument, another video on whether it's 13 point. Being sarcastic. So that means Big Bang's here, and then right before the Big Bang, that's a different theory. Is that new theory like, or is it going to encompass, or just sort of the Big Bang theory? The Big Bang wasn't the start of time; it was just a transition. Help us all. Let's go forward here. One of the most baffling aspects of the Big Bang theory is figuring out how to explain what happened before time and space began. Well, folks, I hate to break it to you, but space has been around forever. It's the universe. It's there forever. You know, if you were even religious, it's like God. It's always been there. It doesn't like go away. But unfortunately, we have the article will explain. You know, this article will explain it, and you'll see the ludicrousness of it. So before time and space began. Nope, sorry, folks. It's always been there. Time is movement, and is as Borkert, I think I like his explanation the best. It's movement. Things are moving all the time. The movement of mass in space, that's what the universe is. There's nothing else. It organizes itself, and all kinds of stuff happen, but it's not like it started at a time and it wasn't there before. This the language, here's the best phrase in the whole article, and here's where you need to become science woke and be aware of these things. That's why I'm here. That's why you're subscribed to this channel. If you're not, do it now. The language itself is awkward. No, it is not. It's the theory that's awkward. And we have to fix it, not by subsuming it and keeping the broken parts. It's like, well, you know, this engine that will never serve anybody any purpose but sort of runs, we got to sort of try to make a bigger vehicle around it and fit it in. I mean, can you imagine that? They try their first engine that blows up all the time. Well, you see what we're going to do is we're going to put it inside another thing we're still make the same engine. We don't have to throw it out and redo it. You get the point. So the language itself is awkward. No, it's not. It's the theory. How does it make sense even to refer to time before time itself existed? I guess that's just an amazing question, because, hey, that's the Big Bang, people. That's old stuff. We have a new one. What's this whole theory about anyways? What's it called? Well, physics is no help either. But that's what we turn to. We worship physics. We worship Neil deGrasse Tyson and all this physics evangelists. You know, what they say is the truth. Physics is no help. What do we have it for? Our scientific theories are no better at explaining what happens when all of existence is crunched into an infinitely dense point known as a singularity, where time and space cease to exist, which is what our Big Bang theory suggests must have been the case prior to the Big Bang. So I don't get it. Physics is no help. Our scientific theories are no better at explaining pretty much what the Big Bang says. Bad theory. Let's go on. There's a new theory on the block. Oh, all right. Maybe it's going to be one of it's going to be Borkert's theory, or it's going to be Jeffy's theory, or is it going to be Karazani's aerodynamics, or the particle model? Well, which one is it? A lattice model, maybe. Let's see what it says. There's a new theory on the block, however, that seems to escape this conundrum while still retaining much of the cosmology of the Big Bang that we're already familiar with. Oh, I was looking for a wholesale replacement because the Big Bang's got too many problems. But this is going to fix it. Okay, let's see how it fixes it. In fact, the theory casually referred to as the flipped universe. Okay, if it's casually referred to, how serious is this? What are we talking about? How can this, Why is it? I mean, we're talking about a really big thing, a new theory, and it's the flipped universe, and it's casually called that. Science writers are really having to work overtime to find garbage to write about. Purports straightforward interpretation of general relativity. Okay, so hey, you can't violate Einstein. You can't say Einstein's wrong. You can't say just because starlight does not bend outside of a corona of a sun, and even though general relativity says that starlight should bend there, and it doesn't. It only bends in the corona of the sun, and that's given to us by a NASA scientist. Even though it's right, we accept that. What you're talking about, that's throw it out. Hey, if the theory doesn't fit the universe, throw out the data that doesn't fit the theory. That's the way you do it. It purports, okay, so it's interpretation. It doesn't violate Einstein. And it claims that the time didn't begin with the Big Bang. I really feel sorry for you. If you really sit around in this place, we'll see right down there, these in high places in physics, in universities in physics, and you actually utter phrases like, well, did time start with the Big Bang? I mean, people actually talk about this. This isn't Harry Potter. This is not a make-believe scientific, this isn't unicorns. Well, it is unicorns, and it is Harry Potter, because nothing is real. But people actually sit around in universities who claim to be, those big brain people have bigger brains than us. Those giant cerebral, they're smarter than us. It's the way it is. They actually talk and say phrases like claims that time didn't begin. I mean, it doesn't matter what you say after that. Claims that time didn't begin. Whatever we want it. That phrase is ludicrous that it's even uttered. That's why you need to be science woke, folks. Time existed before the Big Bang, according to okay, here we go. Well, it's sort of casually referred to as a flip flip universe. And, so, well, who is this? A surfer dude that's like smoking a doobie on the beach? Hey man, I got this flipped universe kind of thing. Okay, well, who did it? So it's probably, like that surfer dude guy that they talk about once in a while. Is that him? According to a University of Oxford press release, from David Sloan, postdoctoral research from the Oxford Department of Physics. I'm so sorry I questioned you. You come from a holy place of science. So for those who are becoming science woke, and I apologize if you're new as a subscriber to this channel, but what happens here is what they always do. They set up these big conundrums which are then solved by people in big places. If it was David D. Hilster saying it, or somebody, or a Glenn Borkert, or a Bill Lucas, or any number of a Jeff Yee, any of these people saying these things, of course no one would listen because they're not from Oxford. Of course none of us could get in because we would write theses about how the Big Bang is wrong. And that's why we can't go into, why don't you have a PhD? Because they won't give me one on what I want to write it on. I want to advance science. I don't want to add to a unicorn. I don't want to be the next person to talk about the new patterns of migration patterns of the unicorn, which would be something like maybe a flipped universe theory that I casually mentioned in a paper that happened to be published but in Oxford. Unlike the theories to attempt to solve the Big Bang's singularity problem by reworking the fundamentals of the Big Bang itself, the theory of the flipped universe keeps the fundamentals. Okay, so like the idea that space and time didn't begin at the beginning of the Big Bang, that's not a fundamental? Man, it's pretty darn fundamental when you think about it, because physics without space and time, it sort of doesn't exist at all. So how could that not be fundamental? I mean, how many places, how many illogical things exist in this? This is a short article. I'm like 9 minutes into this. This should have been 4 minutes. I mean, to unravel the ridiculousness in these things. No modification of Einstein's theory of general relativity are needed either. Again, oh, holy Einstein. There's my halo. It merely calls into question Big Bang's position as the beginning of time. Oh, this is an interesting. You flip masters, flip universe masters of the holy unicorn sect of Oxford. Does that mean in the flipped universe that there's you just push the beginning of time a little further back and it's still around? It's a matter of interpreting the theory differently rather than reworking it. They say these things as if these things were like, maybe 5 points to the Big Bang, and that's all there is. That's all anybody talks about, and we're going to rework those. It's just garbage on top of garbage on top of garbage, and it's really, really getting to me like this in here. Of course, the change in interpretation isn't quite so simple as it might sound. Of course, and this is the other thing for you science world people. When you start reading an article from the mainstream who is talking about stuff like the Big Bang or relativity and space-time and space-time bending and all that kind of weird stuff and particle physics, you're going to find always the case that this is easy. This is so simple. And then you always get to the place in the article that then says, I'm a superbrain, you're not. And the reason you are rejecting this with your sensible common sense and your ability to see the universe around you and sort of come up with your own natural laws of the way the universe works, the reason you aren't going to understand it, and we're not even going to bother explaining it to you, is because you're not smart enough. We have the super brain. We have extra lobes. The calculations that are needed can't fit into this little brain. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't that we can't understand it. It's unintelligible. And they pretend to understand it. And they go to conferences and talk about it and write papers and print those papers. Thank goodness we have like the CNPS, and we have other organizations who are outside the mainstream who have left the Big Bang so far behind. That's what's great about it. And that's what's great about this channel, because we talk about those theories. Okay, if the Big Bang isn't the beginning of time, then it changes a lot about how we conceive the universe. For instance, if time existed before the Big Bang, then it means there must exist something on the other side of the Big Bang. Another universe. In fact, it's our universe, only flipped back to front. They sort of don't say like how'd that work. Did it un-Big Bang or did it Big Crunch? Well, let's see. Maybe they'll tell us all about it. The flipped universe ought to look qualitatively similar to our own, with a few eccentric reversals. For instance, there would be an inverse of chirality, meaning the objects that look right-handed in our universe emerge left-handed on the other side. Okay, they still haven't explained to me like the process. Is it a crunch? The Big Bang goes to the crunch and then the crunch goes back? I mean, what happened? Or is it, oh, I know what it was. It's like a film. The universe is going along in the flip universe, and you're going right, and the right-hand rule and electrical engineering is now the left-hand rule, and you're going along as the end. And then all of a sudden, fade to black, and a point sits there. It starts to sparkle, and then all of a sudden, it explodes! It bangs, but it's a big bang. Because I like the part in the article, too, where they just said it banged. That was pretty cool. Oh, I didn't know university. Oh, I don't. Got to keep this all good and nice here. Entropy ought to be inverted as well. For someone living on the other side, time would seem to run in the opposite way from our own. What does that mean? Everybody talks backwards. Your clocks go backwards. You jump out of graves and then revert to childhoods. From their perspective, our universe would be their past. Oh my goodness. I guess what they sort of mean, well, I guess then they would have a big bang. I don't know that, because there you have a problem. You have here's what I'm saying. This is why you can help people with their own theories that you may not agree with. There's a real problem there, because if it's our past, we shouldn't have a big bang. It should be like the close of a movie, because if they're big bang and if they're going this way, they're still in a big bang. So that means in their universe everything's backwards, where they go, I don't understand it. I don't. In a mind-bending way of thinking about things, but it's also a theory that doesn't fall into one of the mind-breaking paradoxical traps that singularity physics attempts to grapple with. It only introduces about 74 more. I mean, come on, guys. Think about what that paragraph says right there. I mean, if you think this is a simplification, I will tell you the problems with the Big Bang are much simpler than the problems this introduces. I mean, I've got a gajillion questions. Oh, we haven't worked that out yet. We'll find. Let's see. Well, that's probably what they say. Anyways, and so perhaps the Big Bang happened, but rather than a beginning, it was just a transition of sorts, a door to a myriad existence. A mind-twisting rabbit hole through which time passes, but where reality itself is flipped. You know, I guess the way I would call it, I call it the mirror. I think you guys need to reword this. It's the mirror Big Bang. So what happens is the Big Bang, when you get to it, it's like a mirror, and you just see the other side. It's like everything happens is backwards. Oh my goodness. I can't believe people sit around in Oxford talking about this stuff. I mean, really, like Karazai said, it's like our best brains, our best minds are being wasted on that. It's an Alice in Wonder world of physics. It's an Alice in Wonderland world of physics. Yeah, it's a unicorn world. This is the best explanation for, that is a true sentence. I will 100% endorse that sentence for all of you guys trying to be science woke, or you are woke or hard critical thinkers. It is. It's an Alice in Wonder world, physics is. It's all make-believe. It's all fantasy. It's got laws of the universe that don't really exist in the real universe. When we make things up, it's things you can't understand. You'll never understand. It's magic, full of magic, no explanations. Until we finally do definitely solve these mysteries, it's sure to be a wild ride. It is. It's a wild ride. And that's all it is. It's not physics. It's not science. It's a wild ride. Time actually existed before the Big Bang, according to the new theory. You think time existed before the Big Bang? You think space did too? Oh, they didn't talk about space. Did you notice that? They talked about time. They talked about general relativity. So Einstein has made it. Einstein made it into the mirror, into Alice in Wonder through the looking glass. He made it through because he is God. He is wrong. The Big Bang wasn't the start of time. It was just a transition. So what do we say? What's the answer? Why do you watch this channel? Because we have answers. What is our best answer to the Big Bang? No, it's not the casually called flipping universe. That flipping universe, you can use that in English meaning that stupid universe. Well, we believe that the universe is eternal. It's always been there, space. It always has. Many of us believe that to be infinite. And time, movement in space, is a movement in the space of mass, has always been there. There are cycles of stuff. There are things live and die. Even in our universe, I have a problem with the Big Bang. Here's your easiest way to think about the Big Bang being wrong. When we're in school, don't we talk about the life and birth of stars? How can that be? The Big Bang's supposed to be like this one-way thing. How could we have the life and birth of stars and planets? Oh, this is how our galaxy. What's going to happen? Our not galaxy. Our solar system was built and came together, coalescing according to mainstream science, maybe 4.5 billion, 5 billion years ago, whatever. And then our sun's going to go into supernova and blow everything apart, and it's going to blow stardust everywhere, according to Carl Sagan, for those people who are old enough to know the science evangelist Carl Sagan. And he says, we're all made of star stuff. So that goes out and it builds other stuff. How is that a Big Bang? How do we see the life and death, and how come we have the life and death cycles of planets, stars, solar systems, everything? But there seems to be a Big Bang, which is supposed to go one way, and everything's supposed to turn into maybe a neutrino soup or whatever. So we, science woke, the critical thinkers who've been around decades have talked about this. Almost everyone, university has already thrown out the Big Bang. We don't have to put a mirror up to try to save its paradoxes. Its paradoxes don't go away. And in fact, this flip theory, if you start to think about it, has multiplied the problems, not solved them. And what's scarier, as this is written and it's published by Oxford University, if this were a play, a satire, then I could accept it. But no, folks, these are real scientists. These are real students who write these things. And they say we don't understand it because we don't have this super brain. They say that's the paradoxics. It's not paradoxical because we don't understand it. And when they give us explanations, when we say, no, you haven't answered it, you're still paradoxical, we can say to them, throw it out. Well, if you throw it out, you got to replace it. Eternal universe, infinite space, mass has always been moving. It's a soup. There's cycles. Yep, it could be super big cycles, super long cycles, but it's always been there. The Big Bang is a big bust. Don't try to fix it. Let's go to our universities and free people and allow them to be critical thinkers. Hopefully someday, maybe. But hey, don't take my word for it, okay? Never take my word for it. Always stay critical, stay thinking. I am David D. Hilster. I am your science therapist, trying to bring you this promised land to show you articles just like this article here, and how to read it and how to read between the lines. Even my mom, bless her soul, was in my film. She started reading these articles many years into the film, and she goes, Dave, they're nuts. That's what she used to say. Ciao for now.